Hey, Natsu here. Today I'm going to do part um, 13 of What If Deku Had a Leveling System. In the last part, he met with Lucy, a five-tailed Kitsune beastman. They went to Limni, the Underlake Kingdom. He showed his power to her, basically. Well, the aura that he exudes when he goes for when he uses four different dragon forces at once. um I explained that he has a limit to the amount that he can use at once, because after that amount a single attack will basically make him out of energy for a good amount of time. And so now they left. Well, as well as Deku explaining to her that the way he actually hides it is with bracelets. But he also explains to her that the bracelets he has right now are kind of starting to be useless. Sorry. Um, he has basically too much power now for those two. His power even comes out even when he has them on, so he's pretty powerful. He gained the 8th book, didn't learn anything new, and all of his stats are basically at 4.8 million. So, yeah, basically that's the whole recap. So now, where they're going is to the ruins of another god that Deku wants to kill, because it's kind of what he needs to do. Um, so basically she asked him what she should do, because normally there's a lot of monster around it as well as inside of it. Which Deku basically explained to her that if she wants to be protected as best as possible, he will have to come inside with him so he can protect her. He also explains how they work, since he's literally been inside of one. So he explained that it's a full maze. He goes to find everything. He reads everything that are on the walls, because as long as he sees it, it's kept in memory with his perfect memory. Um, and that there are normally multiple chests inside of it, that he wants to get all of them. So she asked him what will he do with them, which he says, if you come in with me and that you help fight the monsters, you can keep one of the chests. Normally there's at least one with treasures, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to give you that one, which she accepts. Like I said in the last part, she loves Deku. He doesn't even think about anything like that. So what she heard was basically, if you want, I can give you one of them, basically. Like, compared to what he said, which was just basically do what you want, take one if you want. What she heard is, I love you, so here's something if you just come inside with me. So, so yeah, basically she asked him how far it is from this play, well, from where they are right now, which he says that if they only walk, it's around 5 days of walk. Um, if they would buy a horse and a carriage, it would take a bit less, but he prefers walking everywhere because, well, if monsters shows up, he can literally just kill them instantly. So they basically decide to walk, and while they were walking, she decided to ask him a question a bit more personal, which is, um, just a sec. Okay, yeah, sorry. I really had to drink. So, like I was saying, she decided to ask him a personal question. The question is, do you love someone right now? Which basically what she wants to hear is, yes, I love you, or something like that. And kind of nonchalantly, he says, I don't know. Which, what she hears is basically, I might, but I'm not sure for now. When no, it's just that he really isn't thinking about it at all. So he's not even seeing her trying to be with him. Even though he is massively older than her. Because basically they look around the same age, but he looks 14. He didn't give, Gremlin didn't give me an age. Basically, that's the only thing that I still have from the notebook that I lost. The only thing I remember is that the 4 that he's going to get on this continent are all under the age of 23, and she was the youngest. Well, the one that I had made was still a female, but uh, I kind of did her first and then did everything else, so I don't remember practically anything about her afterward. What I do remember is that she was supposed to be around 16, so I'm keeping that age for Lucy. And yeah, there's kind of a small age difference. But yeah, she doesn't really care. He looks her age, so she's kind of trying to get with him. But still. So, um, basically, they keep walking while they were going. They normally I don't talk about this that much, but yeah, except when it's relevant to the story. But yeah, basically over time they do fight some monsters, which she basically shows up one of her abilities. For each tail that she has a power that comes from Gremlin. He explained me what he did to create her basically. Okay, yeah, sorry. Um so in that battle she basically shows 2 of her powers out of the 5. Basically those are the only 2 that I'm going to talk about because he kind of went a bit further than what I thought he would go. Basically, all I wanted at first was like a being, and basically like, okay, what sex it is, what species it is, and then I was only going to ask for 2 powers, basically. So the first power she is showing is a skill called conceal, which basically she hides herself completely. Um, he didn't put it in detail, so it's not to basically make her kind of not that OP while using that, even though at the end of this one she's basically going to leave, since it was only for 2 parts that I was in need of her. So Deku basically is fighting against some monsters. She used Conceal, which I'm going to say drops her speed by about 80% since she is completely invisible. So she is classed, he didn't say that either, but she is classed at a mid class. So she's higher than a low tier person. She's mid tier, so literally in the middle of low, blah blah blah, and whatever. So she's not OP, but she's not weak for the continent. So, sorry again. I had to pause. So, what I was saying, I think, was she used Conceal, her speed dropped by 80%. And now, the second ability that she used is Trick. He didn't explain at all what that one was either. He basically only told me the names. Um, but he said it's pretty self-explanatory, so I'm going to guess that you basically trick someone into doing something, or basically like attract attention from something. So she basically does that to kind of take the monster off of Deku directly. Since they don't see her, well, they're kind of just looking on the other side. And suddenly, Deku just kills them. So, basically, they kill those monsters. He, they really don't give enough XP for any of them to level up. Since her level is around 100, simply because she's 16, but still went on a lot of adventures. So even if she is young, she's still at least trained in intelligence, basically reading book and stuff like that. So, she gained a lot of level for a normal person. Deku is outclassing her by a huge amount anyway. Mostly because monsters, in this world precisely, monsters do give some XP. But the best way of training in this world and getting levels is literally just to train with other people and stuff like that. Like, if you train in, like, let's say you fight, well, train in swordsmanship with someone, like, you're level 100 and the other person is level 3000, you're going to level up extremely fast by getting a massive amount of XP, because the person you're fighting with basically has a huge amount over you. And since he's not trying to kill you, normally, um, you can basically fight for a huge amount of time and get a massive amount of XP thanks to that. So basically, fighting normal monsters does give you a good amount of XP, but training with someone else with a higher level than you is basically the best way to do it. Because unless you're killing monsters with a bigger level than yours, you're kind of not getting it as much as you could. Well, to be more precise, um, not just level, I mean stats, because deku can be classed as having a huge power level, but at the same time, people in this part can have that with a lower level than his, simply because they're born with a stronger power level. And since when you level up and or train or blah blah blah, you gain power and stats exponentially, they have an easier time to get stronger than, let's say, someone who started in the, well, literally in the strongest continent. Kids with at level 1, a lot of them are basically a lot stronger than a lot of people in the first continent. Like, it's nowhere near the same amount of power. So, like, an abnormal in the first one can normally be outclassed easily by a level 1 on the last continent, the strongest one. So, yeah. Power level in this world is basically a, sorry for the word, but yeah, it's a bitch, basically. Or you are born in the right place, or you're always going to stay down. Except for Deku, for, well, obvious reasons. So, yeah. After a while after that, well, after the battle, they get to the ruins. And the first thing they see around the ruins is that there's actually a group of people around it, trying to break in, actually. But not because the ruins themselves are closed, more because someone else is barricaded inside of them with a magic barrier. Basically, the person itself just kind of doesn't want them to come in and just kind of closed himself in. Those types of barrier are basically breakable easily by someone that would be like twice your strength, but none of them are even close to capable of breaking it, which they don't know why. So you know that the person is stronger than them. So at first they basically just look around and try to think, okay, how does it work basically? Or are they allies or enemies? Which Deku is capable of hearing them from afar, and what they want is literally just to be able to actually enter because they want to get the treasures inside. While the guy that locked himself in is basically saying that no, he won't let anyone come in. It's way too dangerous. That the monster inside of this place in the final room will kill them easily. Since it killed his friends, they were all stronger than him. So if they're not even able to break the barrier, they have no chance. So after a while, basically, Deku decides to advance. Lucy follows, and basically, when they arrive close to them, or when someone finally sees that they're there, um, all of them basically react in a way of, "Hey, who are you? What are you doing here?" Um, so basically, they don't know if they're allies or enemies, just like what Deku and Lucy were thinking. So after a bit, basically, he explains that they're here to actually get inside because they want to get treasures, which the adventurers basically tell them that they have a request to actually get inside of it to get, to kill the monster. Which he says, that's going to be me doing that. Which all they think is, no, we were here first. Which he says, okay then, let's do a contest to do it. The first one to break the barrier is able to go fight the monsters and get the treasure. Which all of them basically looks at each other and just see two kids and they're like, okay, yeah, that can work out. Then they ask him, how do you want to do it? Which he says, each of you attack once, then she attacks, and then I attack once. And we continue like that until it breaks. One attack per person, then we start back the loop. The two of us are the last ones. Which they all accept because, okay, yeah, we're going to break it by that point. Which, they're a group of 25 and they don't even leave a mark on it. Then Lucy goes in front of it and tries to use a fire magic spell instead of her skills. And it basically doesn't do anything to it. Which they then laugh and says, so, you're the next one? Let's see how you can do it. With Deku basically approaching it, getting close, and then just punching it. And the entire barrier just shatters. Like, his fist just does contact, and it's not even a super strong punch. Like, let's say you decide, when you punch one of your friends on the arm, like, you give a good punch, but you don't do it basically break him. And by breaking him, I mean like putting him down on the ground, screaming that it hurts. He basically punched like that and he shattered the shield easily. With the other guy inside basically saying, "What the hell are you?" And everyone else saying, "You cheated," or something like that. Which Deku basically looked at them and just used his first god skill for the first time. Time stop. For 10 seconds, anyone is stopped around him. There is nothing that anyone can even try and or hope to do to stop it. Not even the first god can do anything against it. And he basically created every other gods. Well, no, not created them, but basically he made what happened to make sure that new gods were created, since he didn't want to be alone anymore. Well, it's not really that he didn't want to be alone, it's more that he wanted to have a bigger power scale on the world. But yeah, basically, not even him would be able to stop that. And during those 10 seconds, remember, Izuku is extremely fast. As well as if he uses his Dragon Force, he can increase everything of him by 10. If he uses a second one, 40. If he uses a third one, 30, 40, 50, 60, blah blah blah. To his limits. Which he basically only uses 4 most of the time. Basically, he did all four of them at once. Sky, thunder, sky, lightning, fire, and water. And literally, with the speed he had, he basically went to all 25 of them and just did a neck chop, just strong enough to put them down, but not strong enough to kill them. And basically went back to the place where he was, and the time stopped. So, the guy that had the shield basically just saw 25% just fall all at once. Just after Deku basically started glowing, his hair turned pink, fire went around him, scales as well. And like automatically it passed from they're standing to they're on the ground, with him just kind of, he powered up and he's powering down. And the guy is freaking out. Then Deku turns around and says to him, "I'm going in. If you want to stop me, you're going to end up like them." Which the guy basically just runs out of the place and isn't even just stopping, he's just running away. So they enter, and there are some monsters which Lucy helps to kill. They find the treasures, which what they find were 5 chests once again. One with an egg, once again, with a shell extremely hard. But just like the 2 other ones, it's different. Which at some point I'm going to explain what they are. Don't worry. But yeah, basically he opens that one. Okay, it's the egg again. He still places it in his inventory. Then he finds the 2 chests that have books in them. He basically does the same thing. Inventory. And then they find one that has the gold. So he basically decides to make something for Lucy to bring it with her easily, and basically takes the inventory spell, well, the storage spell, and a bag, and creates, basically in D&D it's called a bag of holding. Deadpool has one as well in the comics, which is hilarious. Basically, he placed the biggest storage spell that he made, the same type that has the giant snake in it, and basically gave it to her and told her that, well, how it works. She can put anything in it. Basically, he made it so that the bag can basically, if a small part of it can enter the bag, everything will just kind of enters easily. He told her how much space there was in it, and that if she puts her hand in it and wants a specific thing, she can basically just grab it and take it out. And that if she just turns the bag inside out, everything in it will just come right out. So they find the second one, he places it in his storage, and all 5 chests are found. He looks at everything on the walls and arrives to the last room with a boss. This boss, once again, what they see is something on, well, Deku sees something on the wall. In the first one, what he saw was literally eyes moving. In the second one, what he saw was just a painting of a snake with wings. In this one, he is once again seeing a painting, which makes him ask himself, why was the first one moving then? Shouldn't they all be the same, and that means shouldn't they have been stuck in the wall? He decides to stop thinking about it. What he sees about this one... Okay, I'm going to describe it basically in... You know what? Not even. Let me just go pause for a second. This is what's on the wall. A drawing of a lightning tiger. I was looking for the name, and I just kind of went looking for it. But yeah, basically that's what he's seeing on the wall. He isn't afraid of lightning. Just like for the other Dragon Force, well, Dragon Slayer power, the element harms him a lot less than normal, since it's not like Fairy Tail. But yeah. So he tells her to stay close to the wall, inside of it, because if not, they're going to be separated. So she kind of does it. When they enter, she basically goes straight on the wall. The door closed, then the picture basically transforms into a real living lightning tiger. And Deku doesn't even take a chance this time. Simply because he heard the guy say that the monster was extremely strong, so he basically just went lightning dragon force as well as fire dragon force right there to basically counter it. Even though he's, well, easily stronger than it. The highest stats of the tiger, basically he's weaker than the snake, and Deku is way over the snake by this point. Like, Deku and the snake had around the same amount of power when he fought it the first time. Well, when he fought it before training and getting the powers of the god. So yeah, he kind of just went a bit too strong, to be honest, and basically ripped it to shred. Like, the tiger wasn't as strong as the snake, and the snake, he didn't even need a dragon force. He still went in dragon force, I think. What I remember is that he entered the mouth of the snake and basically used a fire dragon roar to basically make it explode. I don't remember if he went dragon force. But yeah, this time he went dragon force 20 times stronger. So kind of went a bit too far for the tiger. So when the tiger is killed in less than 10 seconds, they, well, literally, they just kind of, the lights reopen, the door opens, and then the magic circle in the middle of the room can be used now. So they both go onto it, and then it teleports them up, well, out of there to the God Realm. Just going to make sure of the name. Okay, so the name of this god is Matui. So when they get there, Matui is just sitting on his chair and basically starts clapping, basically saying that he wasn't ready for someone to beat the white tiger that easily. Well, the lightning tiger, but he just calls it the white tiger. Deku looks at him and asks him if he is the god of those ruins, which he says yes, then presents himself as Matui. There are a lot of gods that basically have two titles. Firstly, their name is a title. That is basically like Temple of Matui for this one. Because they have the true names, which is the name that they had before becoming gods. And then the name that they were given, well, that they decided to choose when the temples were created. Some of the gods didn't choose ones, so later other people were able to choose them. So Matui basically asked him, ask Deku basically who he is and what is his goal, which Deku basically places himself ready to fight and says, "I'm here to kill you." And then the guy asks him, he looks at the girl and says, does she know all of your secrets? Which he says no. Which the god basically jumps up and just kind of asks him to get closer. Lucy tries to follow Deku, but the god says, no, not you. Deku approached, and the god uses, magic, not his skill. And he basically used the same spell that Deku can use. The one that basically makes a bubble around you that no sound from the outside can come in and no sound from the inside can go out. And basically ask him, so you're from Earth, right? With Deku basically looking at him like, how do you know? With the guy basically saying, because the way you said it, it sounded as if you had a mission. Not just that you wanted to actually become a god. Other proof of that is actually because I sense that you have the power of another god. The time stop ability, right? By this point, this one is pretty pointless, since a lot of magic caster can actually do something like that. Which Deku responds, yeah, the problem is that the magics use a huge amount of mana, and you can only stop it for like 2 seconds before even I feels down. Which he says, yeah, even from the strongest continent, actually, they can only stop the time for multiple minutes. Which Deku basically has his jaw drops, basically, because minutes, even though actually some of these abnormal from that place can actually stop it for almost an hour. So literally the god power is going to be useless by that point. Except that those that use magic to do it, if more than one person uses it at the same time, they're all in the same time stop. Compared to Deku, that even if someone uses um, a spell to try and enter his own, it won't work. Actually, it will even break that of others. If he says it at the same time, they won't even enter in one. So Deku asks him, okay, so what do you want? With the guy saying, I'm pretty sure that if you killed the god of time, basically that's his second title to the first god he killed, god of time, simply because, well, the way the skills work is that if you're not in the realm, or if you didn't connect to the realm, you only have a certain amount of time that your power is activated. Like, if Deku would have stayed in the God Realm for that place, he would be able to stop time for as long as he wants with the skill. He didn't, which is for a reason. But if he would have stayed, Deku would have been able to stop time for an undefined amount of time, basically forever, without any real problem. For sure, because of how it works. It doesn't work like that. How he did it basically means that what he can do is only for 10 seconds. So the god basically tells him that if he killed that god, that means he heard the request to kill the first god, which Deku answers yes. And then the guy basically explains to him that where they come from, they actually want to go back there. I'm going to say something that I didn't even say on Discord, because I think I forgot, but some of them do have quirks that I said it, but they don't all come from the same dimension. There are some of them that come from the same world as Deku, so the My Hero Academia world, but some come from different realities, like this one in particular. He remembers his mission, well, the mission that they decided to do, but He doesn't remember about his past life. All he knows is that he comes from another world. Which, yes, this one in particular does not come from the same world as Deku, but they are still pretty much closely related when it comes to that. Because the way his world comes from, quirks appeared along a lot earlier than Deku's world. So Deku's world, basically they had 4 generations only, while his world, to that guy, has it for over 50 something generation. Don't worry, there's going to be a lot that comes from Deku's world, but none of them will really ask him about the date that he came in. Just a sec. So basically, the guy tells him that um, their goal was to kill the first god, a good amount of them, 2018 to be precise, and that all of them decided to get the goal of killing the first god once they saw how powerful one of the gods that are still high level but really not as close, well, really not close to him at all. They basically decided to change the tactic. They would go in their realm, become more powerful, and then when someone comes to kill them, they would let them kill the person, kill the god, to basically make them, well, make sure that they get stronger so that they can fight the first god. This guy is weaker than the first god that they could fight, all fought and killed. The first one had 20 million for each stat. This one is only around 15 million. Still pretty big, but that basically means that what Deku got, yeah, well, let me just show you. Deku's power. This guy's power. That's all Deku's getting, so that basically that's the power Deku gets in the end. So yeah, Deku does get a bit stronger, but not that bigger for a power up. Well, it's still pretty huge actually, because when he goes for Dragon Force, his power is hugely increased. So the guy basically explains to him about the goal that they made together. Then explained to Deku what his power was, the skill that that Deku would get from killing him. It is called Warp. What this special skill can do is kind of, well, auto-explanatory. it can basically warp anything to any place as long as Deku already went there. Normally, what he would need to do to send someone somewhere. Okay, sorry. Like I was saying, Deku, if he wants to use his magic to teleport someone, he has to go with them. But with this God skill warp, anything, any size, as long as he wants to, and that's the thing or person wants to if it's alive and has a consciousness. Like a monster that just wants to attack him, Deku would be able to send him away. But let's say a guard or something like that, Deku, if he tries to send him away, the guard can say no to that. So yeah, basically that's how that works. And Deku needs to have been to the place to be able to teleport someone there, basically. So the god tells him to kill. Sorry about that. The god tells Deku to kill him. After dropping the bubble, Deku does it. And in the second stat, in the new icon that he got, where there's the 2012 icons for each god, there's a new one that appeared, which is the face of Matui. So, yeah. Deku now has two of them. Him and Lucy went out of there as fast as they could. And when they came out, the people were basically already inside the 25 adventurers were already looking inside. They woke up. And basically, Deku and Lucy were coming out of it. They were like halfway through the ruins when the. Sorry about that. When the adventurers basically arrived in front of them, and they basically tried to attack um, Lucy and Deku. Obviously, it doesn't work. Reason is pretty easy. It's been more than 10 minutes. He basically grabs Lucy, do time stop, and he just runs out of there. Well, basically, no. Since he destroys every temple after he's done. Well, actually, he doesn't care about the adventurers, so yeah, he just continues like I have written. He gets out of it and basically just destroys it. um, so, once that happened, the adventurers are probably dead, but Deku doesn't care about them. Actually, they won't even come back anyway later in perspective. Simply because they are adventurers. Like, not really adventurers, more like mercenaries or something like that. But they call themselves adventurers. So nobody is really going to care about it. So, um, after that happened, the walk from there to the Desert Kingdom is around a week and a half, which they could decide that they need to get there fast, simply because he's starting to get a bit annoyed by Lucy being there, which she doesn't get that. But she's basically always stuck on him, trying to keep getting closer to him. So before leaving, they basically grabbed a horse each, and they basically started riding to the city, which cuts the time in by about 3 times. So they get there a lot faster, and Deku basically, when they arrive there, tells her that it was good being with her, lying basically. That he base that she was lucky that he took the quiz because now she was able to see, well, a god firsthand, even though it's dead now. And she wanted to ask him if she can. Sorry again. Yeah, no, the phone of my sister is next to me. Um, like I was saying, the phone of my sister is next to me, and someone is basically texting her. It's annoying. Also, I'm getting notifications. So, um, okay, I have enough of this. They should be good. I literally just checked it. It's just someone sending a picture. Well, one of her friends. While I'm getting those. Okay, so they finally separates, and she won't even ever come back in the story in itself. Well, for what I already did. Because I have around 2,000 years already planned. 200 of those years are actually going to be a training part, where it's all going to happen in one of the parts of my what if. And also another huge amount of time that's going to pass in it. It's actually going to be something else special. But yeah, so once in that kingdom, um, well, firstly, he already knows where the book is, because someone in the previous, well, someone on the way there basically told him that, well, where the castle was. So he just went there, took it, and he was ready to leave. Because basically in this place there's not really a lot of books. There are some books, but they're not really interesting. So yeah, Deku basically, well, is done with Lucy. He just took the quest because she did pay him. She got her reward, and she got the book. The chest of money as well. Well, gold, jewelry, and other stuff like that. So yeah. In the next part, he is actually going to a kingdom that is called Cloud Kingdom. Reason for that is that it is literally at the most upper limit of the highest mountain on the entire continent. It is literally above clouds. So yeah, this is the place he's going next. Hope you liked it. Natsu out.